Well, welcome everybody. I'll wait till a little longer. Give us
Let me know.
another 2 minutes, let's say, and then we'll just go ahead and get started.
Awesome.
Unless you don't see anyone waiting, then we'll just go ahead and get started.
It's kind of hard for me to know when they're popping in here versus a main room.
Okay.
So how about,
well, let's get started.
Actually, I know how I can tell. We'll give it 1 minute because I can see how many people are unassigned. That's actually how I can tell. I know that there's one person who's on a cell phone. I mean, would you mind unmuting just so I can have your first name? Just for a second. Okay, wait, that's all right. That's okay. Oh, okay. It looks like
we can tell by the recipients just the phone number.
Well, and that's what I decided to do after. Yeah, I couldn't reach them, and that's fine. So we're going. I think it looks like everybody is assigned to a room, almost. So I am going to first start. Well, I was going to start recording, but it looks like it's already recording.
I hit the recording, so I'll see how that goes.
Okay.
I wanted to see if I could do it on my computer or not.
Okay. All right. So I have to. There's stuff I'm getting used to too with all of the alerts, but that's okay. All right, everybody, you ready?
Yeah, let's go ahead.
Thank you. Hope everybody's enjoying the session so far. Welcome to the afternoon session, The Connection, with presenter Paula Snyder. This will be an interactive session. Paula is a motivational speaker who believes everyone needs and has a little bit of creative genius. Paula now inspires others to ignite and use their hidden creative genius for toppling roadblocks, gaining higher workplace satisfaction, and meeting everyday challenges. Also a vocalist, sorry, I'm getting people popping in, musician, writer, and functional artist. She has earned recognition and many references in both arts, entrepreneurship, and traditional team-based employment. Paula has served as the VP membership with Captivating Dialogue Toastmasters in Raleigh since 2016. VP Public Relations in 2019 and serves in both officer roles as of July 2020. A fun fact about Paula, one summer she hitchhiked alone across country with only $50 in her pocket. Let's welcome Paula.
Thank you, Alyssa. Yes, that's a true story. I did hitchhike. Today, we're going to talk about the connection. First, look at this bouquet of flowers. They are really beautiful, right? And they all look to be from the same family. But no two of those flowers are exactly alike. Just like no two human beings are exactly alike, even identical twins. With those unique differences, we bring a lot of nice, interesting things to the table. New discussions, new ideas. I'm going to ask anyone who's not muted to go ahead and mute because you're showing up on my screen. Thank you. all those differences are beautiful and amazing, but sometimes they separate us and make us isolated. Sometimes people focus on the differences instead of the connection and the commonalities. Nobody likes to feel that way. So today, I'm going to ask everyone to type in the chat, what do we here in this room have in common? Just type in the chat what you think everyone has in common. Let's see the chat. Toastmasters, yes. Unless we have guests. Yes, we're at the DTM, we're at the D111 conference. Desire to be effective in communication. I like that. We're all human. And we're all alive, I think, here in the room. All right, we're going to move on then. Sometimes we have connect and sometimes we have disconnect. If you went to a party and the hostess didn't welcome you or introduce you around, how would you feel? Type that in the chat. What would you feel like if nobody acknowledged you being there or invited you in a warm, friendly way? Yeah, sad. Me too. Feel like leaving? I like that. I have felt that way. I have felt that way. Well, I'm going to tell a real quick story of disconnect at a Toastmasters meeting that I attended at one time. This was a special event put on by a club. And I thought, oh, this will be fun. I went to the building. The room was not clearly identified. And I found someone to direct me to what I thought would be the right room. Everybody was in the room talking to each other. As I stood in the doorway for quite a while, nobody looked up, nobody said hello, nobody invited me in. I wondered, am I in the right place? I finally asked, is this the Toastmasters club meeting? Can I come in? Yeah, come on in, they said. And I was directed to a table near the food. Nobody really started a conversation with me. When speakers came up to speak, they only looked at one side of the room, that side, not the side I was on. I felt very left out. That is a story of disconnect. Well, what I'd like to do is do a few minutes of a table topic type exercise, and I'd like you to share your stories of connect or disconnect. And it doesn't have to be a Toastmaster story. It could be any kind of story. I want to see what people's experiences are. Any volunteers? You can just unmute and say, hey, I'll
I
talk.
volunteer. Hi, everyone. I'm Ori, and I'm actually disconnected from District 117 because I'm coming from District 86. I'm coming from the north in Canada. But one of my story of connection is that in the room right now is Cecile, and I know Cecile from the company. We're working for the same company, inviting me several times in the past to different club meetings. And so we were chatting privately right now and connecting because we had not communicated recently. So that even if I am disconnected from District 117, I am connected to the topic and to the people in the room.
Sounds great. Thank you so much. Orly, is that how you pronounce your name? Orly Ann?
Yeah, Aurelienne is the French version, and Ori if you want to just be short and sweet.
All right. All right. Thank you. And thank you for allowing me to be informal with you, Art. Anybody else? A story of connect or disconnect?
Let me take a shot.
Sure.
I've been on a mission. I visited one summer about 60 different clubs around the country.
Yeah.
And there was a telling thing when you have your little Toastmasters badge on, so they kind of figure you're a Toastmaster. You come in, sit down, have that same nobody's talking to you experience. And at the tail end of the meeting, I would always ask, well, what's your membership up to now? They go, oh, we're already up to 9. I went, I understand. But those clubs that engage you and embrace you being there and have that conversation, ask a question or two. You ask that same parting question, well, what's your membership up to? Well, we're at 18, 19, 20, some nice, lovely number that everybody's striving for. It's a big, big teller of what happens to a club by their interaction with people or connecting with their guests.
I agree with you. Thank you so much. Yeah, with the virtual atmosphere, a lot of clubs memberships are down. So how do you connect in that virtual setting? Does anybody else want to share a story of connect or disconnect?
I can share one.
All right.
When I came to the US 11 years ago for work, initially on a delegation, and the group I joined with was comprised of probably about 20 people from 16 different nationalities and countries.
Wow.
So everyone was new there. And it was, instead of it being awkward and no one doing anything, it was an immediate, hey, we're all new here. We're all in the same boat. We all have so many different things that we can talk about, but we have one thing in common. That is, we're all new here to the US, to this group, to this work environment. And it was a great connection for many years of going together, experiencing things together, attending trivia, rally together. So it was really a great experience of connection.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And where are you from originally?
Germany.
Germany. Thank you. We had a German member join our club a couple of years ago. She was just here for a year or so while her husband had a job locally. Thank you so much for sharing. Anybody else?
Her husband didn't happen to be also in Toastmasters and was in our club, because we had another German here with the same environment.
He might have been.
2019.
He might have been. She mentioned that her husband and she were kind of competing. I'm losing my meeting here. Give me a second. There we go. Okay. Yeah, she mentioned that they were kind of competing. All right. I'm going to move on a little bit and tell a unique story of mine about making a connection. And this is kind of silly in a way, but it was a challenge and interesting. First, I want to tell you all that I really love talking to strangers in the grocery store, at the doctor's office. If you're in the grocery store and you're both looking at apples, you have something in common. We could talk about the apples, right? But sometimes we connect over an activity like volunteering or Toastmasters or a social event. Sometimes we connect over a trauma. For instance, on September 11th, 2001, we all connected over the trauma of a terrorist attack. We connected about where were we when it happened. We connected about people that we knew or loved in the areas that were under attack. A long time after that, they finally put a memorial on the grounds where the Twin Towers in New York stood. Each reflecting pool stood in the footprint of where the Twin Tower was, each of the Twin Towers. Around these reflecting pools, there are bronze plaques with names inscribed very intentionally because they were connected in some way previously in their lives before they perished, the 2,893 victims of this event. They were placed on the reflecting pools because they might have been on the same flight or in the same crew or in the same office, or even having corresponded with each other by mail and had some kind of personal connection. So what does all this have to do with me making a connection? Well, in 2019, my husband and I went to New York City for a social occasion. It was November. We decided to take the subway down to the World Trade Center and take a look around. We also decided to take a walking tour. The guide for the walking tour handed out headsets for everyone to put on. He was going to be talking in real time and telling us some of these stories about connection. So we put ours on and we're all shivering in the cold, waiting for this tour to begin. And across the way, I saw a lady without her headset on, and she was in our party. And I wondered what was going on with her. And I don't know, it's none of my business, but I wanted to walk up and find out. So I left my husband's side and I walked across the square and talked to her. Is something wrong with your headset? She shook her head. Don't you want to hear the guide, what the guide has to say? No. No English, she says. No English. I ventured, what language? Knowing full well I did not speak any language fluently enough to have a conversation. But I wanted to find out. She said, French. It had been 60 years since I had a few elementary school lessons in French. And although I remembered maybe a word or two, I certainly didn't remember any conversations, but I remember the phrase, parlez-vous français, when she asked me. Not really. I can't say anything, but I wanted to communicate. It really was important to me. I thought, I sing some songs in French. I usually sing them when I'm looking at the lyrics and have listened to the recordings multiple times to make sure I do it right. I didn't have any of that with me today, but I gave it a try. She looked to be maybe a little older than me, and I thought she might recognize this Eartha Kitt song. Je cherche un homme, un homme, un homme. It means, I need a man, a man, a man. Probably not the right thing to say to a stranger in New York City. She laughed, though. So I felt like I was making a little connection. I tried again. C'est bon, but I couldn't remember any of the other lyrics. She hummed it back, though. Okay, we're getting somewhere. And then I remember autumn leaves is so beautiful in French, but I couldn't remember any of the lyrics. I hummed along. I la 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 to her. La da 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 da, da 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 da. And she sang back the French lyrics. Well, that was so much fun. And I connected a little bit. I wanted to find out more. So I started asking some questions, if I could. How long in the US? She put two fingers up. 2 years? No. 2 months? 2 weeks. Yes. Okay, 2 weeks. You've been here 2 weeks. Why New York? Niece. She said niece. Okay, you have a niece here in New York and you're visiting. That's really good to know. And why here at this place? Near niece. She can walk here. That made sense. So we kind of connected as well as we could under those circumstances, and we nodded each other. Through the tour, I returned to my husband because he was getting pretty impatient. I was so distracted, though. I wanted to listen to the guide. And then I kept thinking, what else could I say to this person to help communicate? And I was racking my brain, and I finally, at the end of our tour, figured it out. I remember the phrase to introduce myself in French. Je m'appelle Paula, I said to her as I walked up. She nodded and smiled, and she reached out her hand and said in English, my name is Chantel. Now, we never would see each other again, but that connection stayed in my memory, and I hope that maybe I touched her in some way and she felt welcome in the US from a stranger. We never know who we're going to touch and how. So let's continue to make the connection. Now, the theme of our conference today and yesterday is sustaining the promise. So in the Toastmasters promise, which is on our membership applications, we filled them out and signed them when we joined, and officers who agreed to have us in their clubs, they co-signed. So the promise is right there on the application. There are 5 bullets, or there are 3 bullets that are relevant to this discussion. And the 5th bullet is about being positive, creating that atmosphere where people feel welcomed and comfortable to learn and grow. Feeling respected is the 7th bullet. To treat our fellow club members and guests with respect and courtesy, no matter where they are from or what level they're at or how well they express themselves. And the 8th bullet is about sharing our clubs, bringing guests to club meetings so they can understand what Toastmasters is about and what it offers. It's really hard to just bring a stranger to the club without understanding a little bit about that stranger. You make a connection with that person and you find out, well, what do they need? And maybe Toastmasters can fill that need. It's a good way to start the conversation, making that connection. What I'd like to do now is a little exercise in